Alright, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a large strip bow on the M's Bow and Go bow maker. So to start off with, you're going to need a 20-inch or longer chenille stem, and we're going to just place it like that. Next, we're going to grab one of our 47-inch long back pieces, and we're going to want to make sure that it goes to 7. And then you're going to bunch it up, and you're going to start in this bottom rung. You slide it in, and then next thing we're going to do is we're going to loop it on this side. So we'll flip it over, bunch it up a little bit, slide it down, and you're going to want to go to 7 on this side as well. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side, and we're going to loop it over and bunch it. And this is all staying in the same bottom rung. So now we're going to have one tail that goes down, a loop that goes up, and then the opposite on this side. So you're going to have one piece that goes up, and it's going to be around 7, and then also 7. Then we're going to grab our next 47-inch piece, and once again we want to make sure that it's 7 to the rung, and then instead of doing the bottom, we're going to shift up to the middle one and just slide it in just the same. And then once again we're going to do the exact same thing, and we're going to loop it. And we want to make sure that it goes to 7, and then same thing on this side, loop it back, once again just staying in the middle rung. Make sure he goes to 7, and we're going to have him come up, a loop there, and then we'll have the same thing on this side as that previous one. Then we're going to grab our last 47-inch piece, once again making sure it goes to 7, and then we're going to go up to the top one and slide him in. Then we're going to loop him back over. Make sure he is in 7 inches. And then do our last loop. And 7 inches. And then we'll pull him up. And then that completes your back row. Everything should be around 7 inches. Then we're going to shift to our next colors, and these are going to be your 54-inch strips, and for this you're going to be making your tails, and they're going to be 18 inches long, so it goes from the 11 all the way to the 7 on the board. You're just going to mark it roughly, and then you're going to bunch it, and then instead of starting back up here, we're going to go back to the bottom, and we're going to slide him in, and that leaves your tail out. And since it's a printed ribbon, you have to flip it over, and we're going to loop it just the same. And then you want to make sure that this row is slightly in from your previous row. And then once again, flip it over and bunch it up, making sure it's about 1/2 inch to 1 inch on the inside from your previous row, and then you'll just have that piece sticking up. And you're going to grab your next 54-inch piece, and once again you're going to want to make sure that it's 18 inches long for the tail. And then this time we're going to go back up to the second, but we're going to alternate the tail side and have it this way. And then we're going to flip it over because it's printed and we want our nice side up. And then we're going to make sure that he's in from that previous row. Flip him over and make sure that he is the right length there. Yep. And then he's going to be sticking up. Then we're going to grab our last one. Once again, make sure it's 18 inches, 11 from the 7. And then we're going to switch back to this side, and he's going to go up to the top. And we're going to flip him. Put him in, make sure he's a little bit shorter. Flip him back. And then we're going to have this piece coming down. So that completes your number 40 tails. Then we're going to grab our 12-inch strip and just bunch him up and stick him in the middle here. And then we're going to do our tails that are number 9. So once again, make sure it's 18 inches, and this strip is only 50 inches compared to the other ones that were 54. And we're going to come back down to the bottom and make him go the opposite way, and then flip. And then make him a little bit shorter than your previous number 40 tails. And then if he's a little too long, you might have to trim him, and this is how you'd cut your tails anyway. So you just fold him and you cut at a diagonal. Get him out the way, and then we're going to grab our last number 9 tail. Make sure he is 18 inches. Go this way, and then he's going to go once again back this way so that he is different from the previous tail. And we are going to flip him. Make sure he is shorter. And then if this one is a little bit longer, I personally do not cut it. I just let him hang down to add a little bit more sparkle. Then we're going to grab our last 2 small strips that are 9 inches. And we're going to bunch them up, put them in the middle, make them cross each other like this. So that way you have it a little bit everywhere. And then lastly, we're going to grab our number 30, and we're going to go back to the same way that we did the very back row. So it's going to be about 3 or 4 inches here, and we're just going to put him in the middle though, because he's the last piece. And we're going to flip him, make his little loop. Once again, flip him back over, make his little loop, and then you're going to want one tail going this way, one loop going this way, and then one loop this way, and one tail up. That way it's a little bit different. So that's the end of putting in all the ribbon. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your chenille stem and you're going to fold it up, and you're going to push down here on the middle just because we want to keep it tight. And then we're going to pull it as tight as possible while it's still in the rungs. And then you take your hand and slide your ribbon up while holding tightly. And now you're going to be out. Now you're going to want to make sure you hold on to your ribbon, otherwise you're going to lose it. But you're going to pull as tightly as possible. And then you're going to take it from the back and you're going to twist him so that he is secure. I recommend twisting quite a few times. You don't have to twist it all the way though. And that's good enough. Now you're going to turn your bow all the way back around, and you always want to make sure that you can't see your green chenille stem in the middle. So we're just going to kind of finagle these little pieces, puff them up a little bit, because it doesn't matter what kind of bow you're doing, you're always going to have to do something like this just to situate your ribbons a little bit more. And then personally, pull your tails. I like to pull them down a little bit just so that they're a little more straight. And there you have it. There's your bow.